Moving on, final one, the Dolphins. A few interesting players to come into this one. I think we'll be talking some good value picks. So for the Dolphins, first 5 rounds. Round 1 is the Rabbits at home. Round 2, the Knights away. Round 3, the Tigers at home. Round 4, the Broncos at home. And round 5, the Titans away. So not a bad fixture list at all. Right up there in terms for mine with the Tigers in terms of sort of a friendlier draw. Some of the talking points, great early fixture run. Farnworth, an option at 728K. Maxi Plath, is it Max Plath time again? 617K plus. He gets a hooker 2RF duel. Finay Fuiaki, the man pictured, is he one of the must-have cheapies for 2025? Then the answer to that is going to be a resounding yes. And Tommy Gilbert, me mentioned already, we haven't even got to the Dolphins. He's been mentioned a couple of times. Is he a realistic option for this season? So hooker, Harrison Graham, 232K. Kurt Donahue, 232K. Jeremy Marshall King, 555K. And Maxi Plath with that duel, 617K. Trav enjoyed Maxi Plath time throughout 2024, very much so. The wrap I've got on Maxi Plath, just quickly, the fact that JMK has done it in the past and had times where he's been a really good option in this game, the fact no one's even spoken about him now shows you where Maxi Plath is at in terms of this Supercoach game already, and that duel is handy. What are we thinking, Trav? Maxi Plath time again?
Yeah, the psychopath, get excited. I'm excited. Jump on board, get around it. The duel with 2RF hooker is incredibly tasty. He's just a beast, man. And I think he's locked in that number 13 spot. He's got the hooker position because he played 10 games in the hooker and did a bloody good job. And I was very happy to have him just chilling in my 2RF all year. He is at an interesting price. And do I start him at hooker or 2RF? I've had a team where I had him at 2RF. I've had 3 teams since then at hooker. He's currently back in 2RF. But funny enough, I've had 5 teams and had him in each one of them. So I am very keen to have Plath somewhere. I just don't know where I'm going to do it. I have a feeling my plans are, I think I stick with him in the 2RF, and eventually I turn him to a hooker when my 2 rookie hookers are peak at price, and then I drop them, and then I dual Plath over. I think Plath is going to sit around that 600K. I just don't see him really dropping in price. So I think 600K is what you're going to get him at. I don't really see him dropping too far. I can't see Plath getting to 500K, but I also can't see Plath getting to 800K. So I think I'm going to plug him because I'm going to get my 60s and 70s out of him and be happy with what I've got. I'm really keen on that. I'm very, very happy to have a Plath in my team somewhere.
Jesse, we were both on the sort of the side of the fence that we just never really got around to Plath time last year and got to enjoy it too much. And then after you've spoken about that, you've been a big fan of JMK in the past for Supercoach. I know for a number of times you've been really high on him, if he's even a thought about at the moment.
Yeah, well, I've thought about JMK more than I've thought about Plath, to be honest with you. Because I do like JMK. I drafted him last year. I had him in my classic side last year until he got injured. I just think he's a good option. I just like him as a player. I think he's really good. So I don't mind him at that 555 price either. I would have bought him at more last season, and I think I almost contemplated it to start with, and I think he was well into the 600s. So, I think it's good value for him. I think his price is there. It's just obviously he's, injury here and there, which kind of sucks. But look, it spells good things for Plath. But just with that, Trav, you think he's got the 13 locked down. Yep. That's his spot.
Yeah.
Where does Gilbert come in?
Probably, he'll be an edge, I reckon.
Gilbert will be an edge.
Yeah, 2RF edge. Yep, somewhere. They'll find him. He'll start somewhere. He won't be 13. Plath has got that 13.
I don't know. I'd like to see Plath in the 13, but I just think Gilbert walks back to his position, and I think it's his. I just don't know where else he goes. I don't know if like Gilbert's not a prop. He could be. They could do with one, but they've got a couple. But I'd like to see what happens with it. If it was a Bennett year again, I'd be like, perfect. You freaking loved him. It's going to be a monster year for Plath. I just don't know. They've got some players coming in now. They've got returning guys. They've got new signings. It's just he's been so good. He's not cheap. You know what I mean? The jewel is nice. I just want to know where he plays. And that's kind of where it sits for me. I feel like it's going to be one of those years where I watch Plath again from the sidelines and never own him, but just wish I did when he's killing it. So, yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know about Plath. I definitely love his appeal. He's so super consistent, and I love what Travis is saying about him. I don't know.
He was player of the year last year. They'll look after him. He will get the spot.
Oh, yeah. I've got no doubt in my mind he'll play, and he'll play. I'm 80% sure, and we'll get to Gilbert in a second. I'm 80% sure Max Plath after the season he's had will be the starting lock. He almost has to be. You can't drop him after his season. Again, but Gilbert for mine is a middle. He's a middle player. I don't know if he can do much on an edge. He's not one of those players. He'll scare oppositions running a line on an edge. He just doesn't come across as that player. So it will be interesting. And it just, again, like similar to that Yo, where you rightly said, Trav, if you pay $600K, you're going to get a stock standard 60 to 65 from Plath almost on a weekly basis at a minimum. If you can get the odd try, then you can go up to an 80-85 game, and you're thinking, how good's this? It could be a great option. I'd be leaning more towards a 2RF if I'm spending that much at the moment than hooker, but that's just me personally. But I haven't had one team yet with Plath in it, so I don't know why, but trying to go other ways. Front row forwards. Go through, so Oren Keeley, 274, dual with the 2RF. Josh Kerr, 384. Kenny Bromwich, dual with the front row forward, 396. Felice Kafusi, dual, 411. Daniel Saifidi, the new recruit from Newcastle, 429. Mark Nichols, 434K, the GOAT. And Tommy Flegler, 462. Don't think about him. The news around is that it's not until at least halfway through the year that he'll look like he'll even have a shot at potentially coming back onto the field. So unfortunate, really is a shame to see him going through what he is going through. We continue to say it every time we talk about him. But on face value, boys, I'm happy to quickly go past here because I don't have any picks whatsoever in this position from the Dolphins.
There's a bit of love from another one of our Supercoach LOI guys in Luke for Oren Keeley. So
yeah,
he's pretty keen on him. There's a bit of talk around him. He's got the dual 2RF FRF. Look, I don't know a lot about him. I have done a bit of reading, and there is talk that he's battling pretty hard for a starting FRF spot there. So keep an eye on him, especially at that price at 274. But other than that, there is zero interest in FRF from me.
Are you going to echo again, Jesse?
I pretty well am, yeah. Looking at this front row forwards, I'm like, Jesus, who actually starts? And who is going to be even slightly relevant? Obviously, if Keeley does get himself half a minute, like half a decent role, 274 is only upside. But it's quite thin stocks. Yeah, it doesn't really scream relevancy here at all. So
not for Supercoach, no.
Not for Supercoach, no. They'll just share 40 minutes between them all, and it won't be good for anyone. No points wise. So
yeah. I agree. Moving on to RF, where we might have a couple more interesting players here. Mason Teague, 232K. Spoken about Oren Keeley already with a duel. Mr. Fine Fuiaki pictured. We are about to get to him. Hold your horses, please. Ray Stone, 374. Already spoken about both Bromwich and Kafusi with their duels. Tommy Gilbert, we'll talk about as well. Connolly Lemuelu, 483K. And obviously Maxi Plath with that duel we've already spoken about. So let's answer some of these questions on the screen. There's two players to talk about. let's attack Fuiaki first. Do we all agree he's one of the must-have cheapies for 2025, 368K? I almost think he's a lock to play 80 minutes on almost a consistent basis. Where are we at with him, Jesse? Is he a must-have?
Yes, he is. Yep. There's very few 2RFs at 368 who have basically, theoretically cemented in 80 minutes. Like, I think it's pretty well going to happen. For that price, you cannot go wrong. There's no one else around him. So, yeah, I really like it. He's been pretty much in every single side that I've made in my 2RF. I don't know if I'll start and play him. I think you probably could. If you were, spreading big players across other positions. It wouldn't be the worst shout in the world. There's definitely worse options. But, yeah, no, he's currently on my bench. Very happy about it. Fits the bill. I like it. I think him and Lemuelu are going to have those edges locked down. I don't think there's a lot of competition around it either. That's theirs.
I think that's pretty fair, actually. Trav, I think he's tipped his hat to you a couple of times throughout there. So I know that's on purpose, but he's loving what you're saying. Do you echo it, Trav?
Yeah, he's a must-have cheapie at the moment because there's talk that that's where he's going to have TLT will be a very big, important pick as to what happens with that. But all the talk is that he's a gun and ready to go, and he's locked that spot. So let's hope that TOT is friendly to us because we do love him at that cost. It's at 368. That's not a bad price. I'd love him to be a bit cheaper. He did play a lot of games last year. He played 23 matches and averaged 37.6. So there a little bit of concern around that. But, I think he's locked in a bigger role this year for the Dolphins.
I was going to say, I don't read into that too much because there was a number of games he played last year. It was off the bench. And they obviously had Lukey and Nanai in their edges, the Cowboys, who they prioritized. So there was a few games where he didn't get many minutes at all, which obviously eats into the average.
Yeah.
Is this your question, Trav, the Gilbert one?
No.
I think pretty much all of these majority were the ones that I put through for it. But either way, Gilbert's such a popular topic at the moment because of it.
Do you think he's a realistic option?
Yeah, I do. I think so. I like him at his price. I think he's got a great deal of upside as well. I am going in with the mindset that he is the lock as well, and that's the difference that me and Trav obviously have with the whole the Plath starting run. But I think he comes back and he's the lock. It's the spot that he was signed there for. He got injured. Next season, it's the spot that he had. He got injured. So obviously, the emergence of Plath kind of does throw a spanner in the works for him. And looking at the front row stocks for him, they are really thin. They've got players. They've got a lot of players there, but I don't know if they've got that guy. They don't have like a general, an enforcer of a player, and that's what Gilbert is. Like, he's an enforcer. Mm-hmm. He's the kind of, he's the thug that they need out there. So it wouldn't surprise me if you saw Gilbert in the props just to, get him back into some footy, and you get Plath playing 70 minutes a lock. Genuinely, if that happened, I'd just be like, yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. So I like Gilbert at his price. I just want to hope he gets some footy under him because it's been a while.
There's a realist. I think the more I look into this roster, and I love going through this because we get to see some of the player options, I think there's actually a realistic world where Tommy Gilbert is playing a longer stinted front row position. I think that's looking more and more likely to be perhaps his role this year. Trav, do you think Gilbert's a realistic option?
Yeah, 100%. He's in my team. I think I've picked him to do exactly what you both have just said. He's named as a 2RF on us, which is good. I think he does end up being a front row forward for them because I think Plath, you just have to give it to Plath. Plath is their player of the year last year. So I think he's owned that number 13. It's his spot now, and let's get some footy into Gilbert, and I'm excited to see it because he is bloody good player.
Just a quick one for you both. Can you start, or can you not start, but can you have both Finefeuiaki and Gilbert in your teams?
They're both in my team.
They're both all three. I
think both Gilbert and Finefeuiaki have been in basically all of the teams that I've made. Gilbert here and there, maybe not, but Finefeuiaki 100%. He just has to be. He's just an enabler in that position for cash. So,
the halfback position for the Dolphins, you got two options here. Sean O'Sullivan at 240K, and Isaiah Katoa 390K. Isaiah Katoa has split on lockdown for mine. Both just a purely halfback as well. No dual there. Jesse, what are any Katoa at all piquing your interest? Anything at 390 or move on?
Yes, definitely is. Where I've been looking at, 350 with an Ilias, I'm like, you know what, an extra 40K to get Katoa, who I'm much more confident in, with a great fixture on. But then I'm loading up on Finns, man. I've got too many. But I really like him at that price. I don't know, what more he'll do than that, but he's just getting better, and he's just getting better and better and better. And I think it's got to come to a point where he has that year where we're kind of expecting him to just shoot through the roof. And I like it at 390, especially if where you're so used to spending, 1.8 mil in your halfbacks. Like this is the year that I think you can get a cheap halfback. I think there's plenty of options for it, and I don't hate the price. 390 is not that bad, man. It's quite appealing. So yeah, I think he's got a great future. He's just a prospect, and the fixtures are too good to ignore.
Trav, you agreeing?
100%. Yep. I have found a way to put. He's currently in my team instead of Ilias. I've found a way to get him. He's sitting there. I think I've got, and I'm really happy about that. I think Katoa has an explosion this year, and Katoa jumps into that top 5 halfbacks in this competition easily. I just can see it. What I saw from him in the international scene at the end of last year, and then the way he played. Another preseason, new coach that's a bit more freer. It's going to allow a lot more freedom. Bennett's so structured. I just feel like the new coach is going to just free him up. I can just see Katoa exploding. At worst, the worst case scenario for me is Katoa makes 150K. He gets to 550. It would be really nice. That's a pretty good price that I can find some cash to jump him up to someone else, or I drop him down to another rookie or something like that. So I'm pretty keen on Isaiah Katoa. I think it's the year for him to go.
Look out. Look out. There's a bit of value for you. Maybe, you know what? Go all out, and why not just start him and just free up about 500 odd K, and you could just be getting some guns everywhere else. Why not? 5'8", there is only one option. Cody Nick Arima, 500K, exclusive to the 5'8". If I'm trying to remember. I think the back end of last year, Averillo did play like 1 or 2 games at 5'8" for the Dolphins. Right at the end, I think Nick Arima wasn't there, but Nick Arima looks to have that jersey locked down. Any temptation? I think that's a very awkward price for him. I think while he's at that price, is anything. If he can go down 100K or so, there might be something if there's a few injuries or whatever. But yeah, no, thank you.
No, very easy. No,
thank you. Moving on. Center wing for the Dolphins. They've got 398K guys there. So if one of them can get a bit of a start at some point, please come on down. Maxi Feagai has come over from the Dragons at 353K. That's their first realistic option. That's their first price point. So that's quite a decent chunk of money for your first realistic option. Junior Tupu come over from the Tigers, 381K. Bostock, 515K. Jake Averillo, 524K. Jermaine Asako, 616K. And Herbie Farnworth, the question's up there. We'll talk about him in a second, 728K. What I will say to start with is they've got some depth. They've actually got some decent depth here in the back line. There's valid arguments to have Feagai or Tupou both on the wings and starting and really pushing both Bostock and Asako. Obviously, both of those will get their first choice, I think. But there's some good options there, which I think will push all of those players moving forward. The question, though, Jesse. Herbie Farnworth, an option at 728K. Say it isn't so.
Oh, I like it. That's why I put it in there, man. I've had him in a side, and God, I just like to see it. It looks nice, and I know his ownership will be like 2% as well. And I don't think it's going to deviate too far. He'll be solo owned. The fixtures are great. He's a freaking weapon. His ceiling is massive. That's the thing. Like, his average is 74, but that average consists of a shit ton of 150s. You know what I mean? Like he'll do his 50, he'll do his pretty average, and that's not a bad score. Obviously, when you're paying 728, you don't love it, but when he gets going, it's huge. Like he's genuinely smacking. I think he got like over 120 points, maybe 4 or 5 times, and they were maybe every 4 rounds. So his price didn't drop.
He got
So it was like
176 in round 26. He got 133 in round 23, and then he got 121 in round 12.
pretty good, man. He won me a draft final. So I've got that. I'm holding that to it. But his big scores, and I remember watching it too because I was kind of interested in it at some point. But he scored so well right when he would have dropped cash that he never did. And he was always that too far away where you're like, it's not going to happen. Like, I'm just not going to buy him in Classic. But in my draft team, I was enjoying every single week and it was fantastic. I think now is just a good chance. And you started looking at it, you got Karaz, you've got Toto. He's a bit dearer than Karaz too. There's only, I think, 1 or 2 players more expensive than Farmworth at the moment. And that would be Val Holmes and Lomax. So it's a lot of money to spend, but he's a gun. Like he's a bona fide weapon. Like there's no doubts about it. I just don't know. It's a hell of a play. I don't think I'll do it, but God, yeah, big pod, huge pod play.
Trav.
Huge pod play, yeah, definitely. Do I like it? No, I'm not going to start with him. I'm not even looking at him. It's too expensive for mine. For what I think he can do. I mean, you talk about all these games of he does have those. He's had 3 monster scores: 120, 133, 176. He got a 104. Was his other game above 100, and then it's around the 80s and 70s and below. So, that 4 games at above 100 is good, but not superstardom that I want to start him at 728. So I'm not keen on him. He's definitely an option. You could definitely play him as a pod because I think there's going to be so many that are going to go Totos and Karazes. So if you can find the extra 20 odd K or from Toto with the extra 40K, I can see it, but yeah, I'm not keen on it at that cost.
Yeah, it's too much for me. I can't do it. I cannot do it. The fixture run is probably the enticing bit, the thing that keeps bringing me back to what Jesse's talking about and maybe going, I can see the appeal. I just can't. I can't do it. It doesn't let me deal with some of the other big plays that I'm trying to do with some of those Penrith boys and stuff like that. I'm not doing it. I just can't. Anyone else?
Just to touch on that fixture run too, by the way, that first game they're at Suncorp. The second game they go to Newcastle. Then they're at Redcliffe. Then they're at Suncorp. Then they're at Gold Coast. Then they're at Suncorp in round 6. Then they're at Suncorp in round 7. And then they first travel. They go to Canberra in round 8. So they basically don't leave Queensland.
No. Yeah, it's so good. It's a lot of home games.
It's a good run, and it is a quick talking point. But anything else for the centre wings? Like Asako has not been mentioned. I have not heard anyone so far talk about Asako. It's a bit of a fall in a way. He still ended up averaging 63 last year. So we're talking about a bad year for Asako. But if you're averaging 63 in a Supercoach year, that's got to be respected. He just felt like he fell off a cliff. It just felt like that. But numbers-wise, it's not.
It felt like that because he didn't get the tries. Like the year before that, he led the comp in tries, didn't he? Like it was so big that he was just averaging such big scores. He actually started the year last year really well. He got an 80 in round 2, 106 in round 4. He had 113 and 8 and 150 in round 9. Then that's when he dropped 40s, 45, 80, 40, 50, 70, 50, 60, 60, 40, 60, and then 50, 20, 60, 30. So like it's, like he finished the year off poorly, but I'm also going to put the blame on the Dolphins and the way that they finished the year off too. The thing about and what I like about Asako is he's a goal kicking center winger who's got try scoring potential in a team that's going to get better and better. I'm very high on the Dolphins. I've actually got them at the moment in 5th spot in my predicted ladder for next year. I'm just really keen on them. I think there's a lot of improvement in the way that they go, providing they stay healthy. And I can see a world where Jermaine Osako is in my team for at least half that year this season. I just won't start with him.
Big.
Yeah.
Couple of big, bold predictions in there.
The latter prediction's massive. Couldn't believe it. But yeah, no, I think the same too. I had Azarko from round 8 last year, or something like that, and he was a weapon. Like, he was really good for that period, and had all these expectations. Then he fell off, and I think we both had him for quite a while. I ended up getting off at the very, very end, but yeah, the goal kicking is always an appeal. I think Avarillo kind of takes the points away from him. He's a bit of a ball hog. Didn't really want to play with him too much on the end there, and he just cost him a lot of points. Like, Azarko was there for it, and he just didn't get it right at the end. So, not his fault, but the kicking's good. But yeah, I don't know. It's he's kind of lost that spark, hasn't he? Like, it was definitely very appealing last year, and at the moment, I just want to see what the Dolphins are doing if their ball's going that way, because it went to Herbie every other time. That's why his score is so much higher. Because everything went left.
Yeah. No, I'm happy with everything you both have said there. I really do appreciate your wisdom. I have nothing to say. I'll echo what you both have said. The fullbacks. So there's 2 options, but there's not really, unfortunately. There is only one this year for the Dolphins. Trey Fuller, unfortunately, the ACL injury, I think, the grand final the week before that in Queensland Cup has ruled him out for pretty much the year. He won't be back, unfortunately. Huge blow for the Dolphins. He was a great depth player, and some, Trav included, believe he probably should have been the number 1 fullback choice for this season. The Hammer, though, he gets the spot, remains fit. He's the only fullback real option there, apart from if they decide to move Farnworth at some point. 653K, average 66.8 in last year. Where are we at? Is it Hammer time once again? He loses the centre wing duel, which is the big thing for the Hammer. That was so nice to have. I love those centre wings that play fullback. It's always handy. Not having that for mine just pretty much, for me, puts a big red, black, blue line, whatever you want to put through, has put through for me. Trav?
No, it doesn't. I actually think Hammer's ready for a big year this year. I think there's a lot on his plate. I think there's a lot on riding on his reputation and what he can do. He still averaged basically 67 points last year for the year that he had. He's got some monster scores in him. I think he's locked down that fullback spot now because he has to, because Trey Fuller's there. And you are right. I predict that, and I think that they're a better team with Trey Fuller at fullback and Hammer in the center. I love what I watch from Hammer in Origin, playing the centers and the wings. So I think that would be better, but we're about to watch Hammer go and explode in the fullback realm. Am I going to start him? No. I've got other options I want to do. I like his price at 653, though. He's a very good pod play at a really good price for those who also believe that it's Hammer time for 2025.
Hammer time, baby. Jesse?
Not for me. Had he had a centre wing, more than likely, yes. I think I would have been very happy to have him in there, but not a fullback. And I think if I'm going to spend that sort of thing, I'd just go up a bit more, get a gun, or go down and get Pap. I just don't see where he fits. But you look like they've got the run for it. I just think there's better options realistically. But look, it won't surprise me if he's first week against the Rabbits, he scored 90 points, the Knights 100, and you're thinking, shit, how do I get Hamaso in before he goes up in price again? So, yeah, there is very valid arguments to have him in the side, but unfortunately, it'd be a centre for me.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah. So his average isn't accounting for a game where he got a 4 in a game that he played 20 minutes because he got injured. And then that's when he set out for 5 rounds until round 11. He was averaging 85 up until round 6. So there's serious potential for him. Yeah, so did I. So I think there's serious potential for him. His price and his average also includes the lower end at the back end of the year when he went 50, 39, 46, 43, 34, but he was playing in the centers with Trey Fuller playing fullback. So I think there's some real big games in him ready to go. And I just think I'm not starting him, but I'm not hating anyone that wants to put him there as a really good pod play.
Yeah, for sure.
If he does explode in the first few games, he's definitely going to be a good trading option.
Yeah, he starts strong. That's the thing, and they've got the strongest start. Really, they're not going anywhere. They're staying in Queensland. So, yeah, I expect really good scores out of him. It's just the thing too. It's very hard to look past the gun top fullbacks because you always just want to go straight for the best ones. But man, there's some good options if you spend like you save up, save some coin, get Hammer, get Pap. You know what I mean? Like I can't see anyone really going that direction, but we see it every time you start the year and you lose a shit ton of money because you've spent up on all the big guys and everyone else has sort of outperformed them. So you just save, spread the love, get Hammer, get a few others, and all of a sudden, you're miles away. And that's just going against the pack too, because it's going to be pretty heavy. And yeah, it's just, have you got the balls to do it? He's definitely got the ceiling for it.
I mean, it's the last point. It's a perfect segue. The great early fixture list for him potentially is a huge reason why Hammer becomes a much more viable option, especially early. Get that maybe quick cash off him, get some nice points, some attacking points, playing in around that Brisbane weather that time of year, great dry weather, things like that. Dry track, which will suit Hammer down to a T. As you said, cheaper than the elites. And after that 8-week period or so, could very much be around the price of most of those elite fullbacks anyway. And that's the time where they start to hit their straps, some of those big name players. So could become an option. Maybe I'll get that liquid paper out and get his name back on. So going off a bit early there might be some reasons. And I guess overall, maybe some of these Dolphins players, because of this draw at the start, is becoming a bit more appealing because it feels like a lot of them can make some cash for us. And that can help us by that 7, 8, 9 week mark when we're trying to plan for Origin and that. Help us make some big moves. We'll no doubt probably use a boost around that time to get ready and things like that. And just make some big plays and use that cash that we're going to generate once the harder fixture list comes in.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like there's every opportunity there for it too. And I think the Dolphins have a lot of good value at the moment. Like there's a lot of nice price players, Finafuaki, Lemuelu even. Like there are options. And yeah, they've just got everything going. It's just a new coach, new everything. You know what I mean? It's just going to be a different approach to them. So I'm definitely keen to see how they go. I think they do really good. And I think a lot of these guys are going to skyrocket quite early. But the thing just on Hammer too, his floor is so low. He just needs those tries. Like he's so dependent on them. So yeah.
You watch very nervously at times when you've got the Hammer.
Yeah, you definitely do.